I just can't fathom what has happened. I just can't fathom what has happened.
Poisoned by stealth.
The cook, the diners, a deadly lunch, and one giant mystery.
I think it has all the elements of a sort of Shakespearean tragedy.
In a case that's captivated the world.
An Australian family's meal is now the centre of a homicide investigation.
Play after a deadly meal claimed 3 lives.
And a family lunch turned deadly.
I cannot think of another investigation that has generated this level of media and public interest.
This case is certainly unusual. Mass poisonings are unusual.
Police say you're a suspect. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, I say I didn't do anything. I loved them.
A misguided belief that people would believe her.
Does this strike you as an honest person?
She's wiping imaginary tears from her eyes.
We take you inside the most closely followed trial of the year that thrust a sleepy town in regional Victoria into the global spotlight and bring you the only television interview with the woman at the centre of it all. Erin Patterson.
The circus, the mushroom circus, has come to town.
This story doesn't begin with a deadly beef Wellington meal. It begins years earlier with a marriage slowly unravelling. Erin Patterson and husband Simon made a home together in the tiny town of Currumbara, a tight-knit rural community of around 5,000, 120 kilometres southeast of Melbourne. The couple had separated but by all accounts remained friendly. That was until late 2022 when their relationship deteriorated with bitter disputes over money. Erin moved to nearby Leongatha, but despite ongoing tensions between her and Simon, she remained close with his family and the couple was yet to formally divorce. This would provide the backdrop to the dramatic events of July 29, 2023. 2 weeks before the fatal beef Wellington meal, Erin and her children attend the local Currumbara church, where Pastor Ian Wilkinson is giving the Sunday service. At church, Erin invites estranged husband Simon, his parents Don and Gail, as well as Gail's sister Heather and her husband Ian to lunch to discuss a medical issue. Simon agrees to come, but the night before he texts Erin,
"Sorry, I feel too uncomfortable about coming to the lunch with you, Mum, Dad, Heather and Ian tomorrow. But I'm happy to talk about your health and implications of that at another time if you'd like to discuss on the phone."
Erin replies,
"That's really disappointing. I've spent many hours this week preparing lunch for tomorrow, which has been exhausting in light of the issues I'm facing, and spent a small fortune on beef eye fillet to make beef Wellingtons because I wanted it to be a special meal, as I may not be able to host a lunch like this again for some time."
The next day, Erin's 2 children go to the cinema. The guests arrive and Erin serves individual beef Wellingtons with a side of mashed potato and greens. According to police, the 4 guests are served on large grey plates, while Erin's is suspiciously different, smaller and lighter in colour. Then, Erin drops a bombshell. She tells the small group she's gathered them together to tell them she has cancer and the 5 of them pray. Detectives would later discover Erin had been texting the family in the lead up to the lunch about undergoing mysterious medical tests. But in fact, there had been no tests and Erin Patterson did not have cancer. It was all an elaborate trap used to lure them to the lunch. That night, the 4 guests fall violently ill. Within a week, 3 would be dead.
They were beautiful people.
Don was just a really lovely bloke, and I miss him.
I don't think there'd be any person in this town that wouldn't be feeling grief.
It's not Midsummer Murders. This is Curramborough. This is real people's lives.
Monday, 2 days after the lunch, Erin presents to hospital feigning sickness. Against medical advice, she leaves, despite being told she's been exposed to a deadly toxin. Police are called to conduct a welfare check, but Erin eventually returns to hospital of her own accord. Doctors plead with Erin to bring her kids in too, because she tells medical staff they ate the beef Wellington leftovers. But Erin's reluctant to pull her children out of school. She tells the authorities she purchased fresh mushrooms from her local Woolworths and dried mushrooms from a grocer in Melbourne's southeastern suburbs. That sparks panic at the health department, with officials dispatched to search all the stores in the area. With news of the deadly meal making global headlines, Victoria Police calls a media conference.
I'm not aware of an investigation where we've had 3 people die as a result of apparent food poisoning, whether that be by mushroom or something else. So yes, it is rather unique.
Detective Inspector Dean Thomas is head of the homicide squad.
4 people turn up and 3 of them have passed away, with another one critical.
Mum and Dad were very much a team working at life together. The fact they died on consecutive days is fitting in some ways, as it reflects the togetherness as a couple that they always worked so hard to grow.
The deaths left a tight-knit town broken. Don, Gail and Heather, pillars of their local Baptist church.
I think the whole community's very sad. Don and Gail were terrific grandparents and parents, and it's just an absolute tragedy.
Simon Patterson paid tribute to his late parents at a public memorial.
They would always wave goodbye when they parted ways. It's partly because one day would be the last wave. Mum's final text message on our family group chat as she lay in Dandenong Hospital was, "Lots of love to you all."
Hundreds of locals turned out to pay their respects, but one person was missing. We tracked her down as the service was starting.
Have you chosen not to attend?
My lawyer has told me not to talk to you, so I've got nothing to say to you. I'm sorry.
If you've been unfairly persecuted in the media, as you say, this is your chance, Erin, to set the record straight.
Within months, Erin Patterson is arrested.
Erin, did you kill them? Did you think this day was going to come, Erin?
Months before the murders, Erin Patterson's phone was traced to this area, known for growing death cap mushrooms. It's only a short drive from Erin's place, and according to those phone records, she spent precisely 25 minutes here. Just enough time to pick her poison. A day earlier, a post went up on this citizen science website listing a sighting of the poisonous fungi in that same area. Erin's computers previously accessed that site to look at other death cap locations. Once home, police claim Erin dried the foraged mushrooms in a dehydrator, which she then dumped at this tip. Criminologist Dr. Xanthi Mallet says that was a critical clue.
From my perspective, the food dehydrator is really at the heart of this case. Erin Patterson has stated that she got rid of that because she was nervous after a comment that her ex-husband made at the hospital that he said, "Is that what you use to kill them?" And that kind of made her get rid of it through fear that she would be suspected.
Erin had multiple phones, secretly swapping SIM cards between devices as police were raiding her home. Erin factory reset one phone multiple times, including remotely, after detectives seized the device. Her main mobile has never been recovered, despite intense searches of her property.
Interestingly, the research suggests that most homicides committed by women tend to be by poisoning. So there's always a hope you won't be detected.
Criminal psychologist Tim Watson-Munro has come face to face with countless killers.
Not speaking about Erin Patterson, I've not examined her, but they weigh up the odds. And in some cases, the hatred of the deceased is so strong it overwhelms logic. And by and large, these people think they are more clever than they really are. And they think they will get away with it. They don't understand how sophisticated forensic techniques are.
In the days after the lunch, Erin Patterson was spinning a web of lies to conceal an evil plan. That charade continued when she spoke with me just over there, outside her Leongatha home. It was her only television interview.
Were they tipped from the property area?
I just ask you just to leave me alone now, please.
So firstly, I want to look to see whether the verbal content matches the body language. Is there conflict or contradiction between what a person says and what they do?
Steve Van Apron is a world-leading expert in body language and deception. He's worked with police on more than 80 homicide investigations.
We have the largest number of neural networks between our brain and our hand, so it'll go up to our face to block. Prolonged eye closure, research shows blink rate increases 6 to 8-fold after the delivery of deception.
We asked Steve to analyse my interview with Erin Patterson.
Let's have a watch.
Can you tell us what happened on Saturday?
What happened on Saturday was devastating. It's a tragedy what's happened.
Can you tell us about the meal that you cooked?
I'm so devastated by what's happened, by the loss of Don. Don is still in hospital, the loss of Ian and Heather.
Just at this stage, the masking behaviours, I've seen that a lot when people may be blocking and could be like a prolonged eye closure or whatever, and she does a lot of that.
So that's the hand to the face?
Hand to face, yeah, blocking.
It was some of the best people that I've ever met. Gail was like...
Take your time.
Gail was the mum that I didn't have because my mum passed away 4 years ago. And Gail's never been anything but good and kind to me. And Ian and Heather were some of the best people I've ever met. They never did anything wrong to me, and I'm so devastated about what's happened.
Just that's quite interesting in itself. There's a lot of wailing and that, but there's no tears. I don't see any tears. She's wiping imaginary tears from her eyes. That's a concern. I mean, usually when you're dealing with people who are really distraught and crying, you'll see that. And she does it several times.
It's that I just can't fathom what has happened. I just can't fathom what has happened.
What's happening now, she's actually talking about how she feels, not information, because usually if somebody's been falsely or maliciously accused, no one wants to be falsely accused. So there'd be more information. In my experience, when people are upfront, direct, and have nothing to hide, they'll be able to recall, times, dates, places, information, how they felt, emotions, all that type of thing. All we're hearing is how she feels about it, not any specific detail. And she's given a perfect opportunity to give her side of events.
It's at this point Erin refuses to answer any more questions.
Can you tell us where the mushrooms came from? Police say you're a suspect. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, I say I didn't do anything. I loved them.
Where did the mushrooms come from? Were they picked by you, or where did they come from, Erin? Can you tell us? What meal did you cook them? Did you eat the same meal, Erin?
Does this strike you as an honest person?
What it does show me is she's quite evasive, omissive and dismissive. She shot you down or cut you down before, and she chose not to answer the question. She could have if she had nothing to be concerned about. Why is that?
In general terms, these people are capable of considerable planning. They have a specific intention in mind to either maim, injure or kill the victim or victims.
The 9-week trial was held in the regional centre of Morwell, a 45-minute drive from Erin's home. Among the star witnesses, sole survivor of the lunch, Pastor Ian Wilkinson. Journalists, podcasters and true crime writers from around the world descended on the tiny town. Motels here have been booked out for months.
Initially, when it hit the headlines, we're inundated with the calls. There's people from interstate. There's a lady who's a crime writer writing a book. She's going to write a book on it, I'm led to believe. And have witnesses, media, and just general people that were interested in the case to come to the town.
Retired Detective John owns the Cedar Lodge Motel next door to the courthouse.
Everyone's talking about it, have done for ages. It's a very unusual case.
Morwell's usually a bit of a ghost town, so it's actually created a little bit of a buzz. Obviously, they're doing the town up a little bit. You can tell the gardens and everything is coming up really nice.
At the local news agency, owner Ray can't believe the spectacle.
Little Morwell, who'd have thought? And because of a mushroom case, a murder trial, we've ordered more papers. We've sort of increased the amount of papers that we're getting.
Inside the small country courtroom, only a handful of seats were reserved for media. The public gallery was packed with self-confessed internet sleuths, hoping to catch a glimpse of the killer cook. Some travelling from interstate and camping out from 5 o'clock in the morning just to jag a seat.
It just draws you in because I want to hear every word that's coming out of her mouth and hanging on every single word that she's saying to just make my own mind up on what I think is going on.
I found her to be quite well spoken and quite polite. I watch her when she deals with the staff when they let her out of the dock, and she always says thank you, and I find her to be quite respectful in that way, which is a surprise actually.
We've already got our verdicts. Sorry,
but it'll be up to the jury, I suppose.
That's right.
The evidence I shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
In a shock 11th hour twist, Erin Patterson announced she would be taking to the witness box. It's an unusual move, given accused people in Australia aren't compelled to speak during their trial. Rather, it's up to prosecutors to prove the case. We're about to take you inside Courtroom 4.
Miss Patterson, can you repeat your full name, please?
Erin Trudy Patterson.
And how old are you?
50.
These are Erin's words spoken by an actor.
I wanted to have some more connection with them, so I invited them all.
At times, breaking down in tears, Erin details what she claims happened at the lunch.
So it's right at the end of the meal, and I mentioned that I'd had an issue a year or two earlier where I thought I'd had ovarian cancer. I'm not proud of this, but I led them to believe that I might be needing some treatment in regards to that.
Did you lie to them?
I did lie to them.
Erin claims she may have mixed death cap mushrooms she accidentally picked in the wild with mushrooms she claims she bought at an Asian grocer. Her defence lawyer is the one asking questions.
At that time, to your knowledge, what was in that Tupperware container?
At that time, I believed it was just the mushrooms that I bought in Melbourne. Now I think that there was a possibility that there were foraged ones in there as well.
Erin denies serving her guests on different plates.
Just the dinner plates I had. So I think there's a couple of black, a couple of white, one that's red on top and black.
Do you own any grey plates?
No.
Were there any assigned seats?
No.
And were there any assigned plates?
No.
Erin becomes more combative as the prosecutor interrogates her.
The agent grocer story was a deliberate lie, correct?
Incorrect.
I suggest your whole story is untrue, that you plated the food without discrimination.
You're wrong.
I suggest that you made out that you were seriously unwell.
Erin's then asked why she sent her friends messages full of expletives about Simon's family amid disputes with him over money.
I needed to vent. I needed to get my frustration off my chest, and the choice was either go into the paddock and tell the sheep or vent to these women.
Erin admits to being a serial liar, but maintains it wasn't because she was concealing a triple murder.
I was scared that they would blame me for it, for making everyone sick, and I was scared they'd removed the children.
When somebody's life is taken prematurely through murder or manslaughter, people never really recover from that. They talk about closure. There's never really full closure.
As Mum and Dad lay in comas in the Austin Hospital in their final days, and each day we were unsure whether they would recover or not, it was comforting to know that when we said, "See you later," we knew it was true. The only thing that we didn't know was when. The hope of "see you later," that was their hope, and it's ours. And in the meantime, we'll miss them.
There remains one lingering question. Why did Erin Patterson murder her estranged husband's family? It's something only one person will ever know the answer to. And whatever it was that drove Erin Patterson to cook her now infamous mushroom meal and serve it to the people closest to her, she will now pay the ultimate penalty. After a 9-week trial, the jury of 12 handed down its verdict: guilty on 3 counts of murder and 1 of attempted murder.
I'm devastated. I love them. And I can't believe that this has happened, and I'm so sorry.